What an incredible night it is, Purple Power. Oh my goodness. As Mark Meadows confirms so many details. If you watched the video before, you need to, if you didn't watch the video before, you need to watch it. First of all, he confirmed the president's looking for bigger stimulus checks for adults and children in this stimulus package. Second, Mitch's entire subcommittees are working on getting this done. He's not telling anyone, Mitch. He's being really sneaky. Mitch is actually working on drafts of the president's own bill to get it done. Third, an agreement could be reached by this weekend, says Mark Meadows. Fourth, all the major deal provisions are still in limbo, and they're still looking for input. Purple Power, this is your time. This is your place. This is Purple Power. Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Purple Power, and a night in which there's so much breaking news, I don't even know if I can cover it in 2 videos. It's an incredible night of so much details, and what I want to do in this video is get you up to date on where we are and refocus you on where you have to push your attention. Purple Power refers to the effort that I launched for this channel called Purple Power, in which we try to get stimulus to Americans in their hands, despite whether they're Republican or Democrats, using the methods of social media. Go to the front of this channel, subscribe because we're really getting to the finish line. It's right in front of us, and there's big progress tonight. Also like this video. In this video, I'll be going over where we are in the stimulus packages, why it's so important to stay here, because there's so many strange nuances happening that no one else is telling you unless you stay on top of these breaking minutia. And finally, I'll be going over what to expect tomorrow. Let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news is that, 1, the president is currently in the second stimulus package negotiations focusing on a bigger stimulus check. That's the first one. Second, the bigger stimulus check would be for adults, and it'll also be for children. Third, the president has not chosen the number yet. So this is where Purple Power needs to focus. Boy, when I launched Purple Power, I think it was about 2 months ago, I said that no one was lobbying for you. No one was telling politicians what you need. No one was telling you what they need to take in consideration. And in a couple of weeks, we've done incredible progresses. We've had the president adopt the Problem Solvers Bill because of this channel. We've had Steve Mnuchin adopt the Problem Solvers Bill because of this channel. We've had Nancy Pelosi stop her, people reject Nancy Pelosi's horrible $2.2 trillion bill and vote against it in her own party. And we've had Steve Mnuchin raise his state and local amount from $100 trillion to $300 trillion. But tonight, we may have our biggest achievement yet. Last Friday, Purple Power saw as I launched a new campaign, #MSC, multiple stimulus checks. It was based upon Senator Harris and Senator Sanders' bill of May, in which they said a single $1,200 stimulus check for 1 month doesn't do anything. Well, it's been 6 months. You haven't gotten a stimulus check over those 6 months. We're waiting for 6 months until potentially the next inauguration. And some of you never got a stimulus check if you're an adult dependent. And so now, one $1,200 check or $1,000 check or $500 check if you're on Nancy Pelosi's bill doesn't cut it. So guess what the president has now done? Mark Meadows, the president's chief of staff, wearing a purple tie, 24 hours after saying on broadcast news the finish line, getting to the finish line, and also saying her way or the highway, 2 expressions I say on camera almost every single recording, wearing a purple tie, told CNBC this afternoon that the president is focusing on a bigger stimulus check amount for adults and children. Okay, Purple Power, you know what you got to do. You know what you got to do. You have to be on social media. You got to be on Twitter. You have to be tagging Meadows. You have to be tagging Mnuchin. You have to be tagging every member that you're really tagging. You're tagging Jason Miller. You're tagging the campaign manager for Trump. You're tagging everyone involved. You also need to tag Mitch McConnell, and I'll tell you why in a second. And anyone else that you think is encompassing in this discussion, you need to tag in your comments and ask for bigger stimulus checks, multiple stimulus checks. Now, as I said in the video before, seems like from the wording that Mark Meadows is using that the president is not considering multiple stimulus checks, but a bigger stimulus check, which is basically the same impact that we're having with this push. So tailor your tweets accordingly so they get them loud and clear. Make it clear $1,200 doesn't cut it. Make it clear I'm an adult, I'm a veteran, I serve this country, I did not get a first stimulus check because I'm a dependent, where $1,200 is not going to cut it, I've been waiting around for 6 months, where's my stimulus check? People see these tweets. They see these tweets. Mark Meadows, Steve Mnuchin, these are people who do not have 500 million followers or even let alone 1 million followers. They see your tweets. And so make that loud and clear. Next, it appears that FPUC is somewhere in the negotiation still. Mark Meadows gave no real clear indication where that's meandering. You need to really push with that FPUC to be retroactive to late July. I don't think that's a problem. If you get it really loud and clear, they will understand it, because Mark Meadows says Nancy Pelosi is doing this thing about moving dates all day long. And she's going forward with the date, back with the date, forward with the date, back with the date. Next, my EIDL loan and EIDL grant people, you have to be in here real hard. You got to be in here real hard and make sure, because they're focusing on language right now. If you watch the video before, the Senate and House subcommittees for small business are working on language of this bill. You need to be on top of this. I mean, this is the time of all those 2 months of me recording EIDL and EIDL loan videos where Javita Carranza was screwing us all over because the language was just sort of vague. This is the time you have to be on top of it and say, hey, you have to make the language very clear. It's $10,000 grant for this. And you have to make the language clear that there's no cap on the EIDL loan if I qualify. And you have to make clear all these things so that they see them. If you don't know who heads certain committees, like a House subcommittee on small business or a Senate small committee on small business administration, then go on Google and look them up. There's never more than maybe 6 or 7 people. It's not a lot of people to find on social media. It's very, very quick. It's all of a 15-minute search. So very, very helpful for you. Next, it's important to understand that there's a lot of things in limbo still. Hazard pay, we're hearing nothing about. We're literally hearing nothing about hazard pay. And finally, there's all those other things that are just sort of all over the place. What's important to understand is the timeline. Mark Meadows made that shocking revelation. The 3 shocking revelations in Mark Meadows' interview on CNBC this afternoon were: the largest stimulus check. 2, that Mitch McConnell is quietly, he didn't say quietly, but I'm interpreting it as quietly, is quietly having his entire subcommittees work with the House subcommittees to fashion the language of the bill so we have an agreement. 3rd, Mark Meadows said that they're shooting for a deal by the weekend, but it would still take time over the next few weeks to get it to passage. I don't know the second half of the sentence why that's so, but it's important to understand you got about a 4-day time frame to really push hard, because now is where they're changing the EIDL language or EIDL words or the grants or the multiple stimulus checks or the higher stimulus check. This is the point now. You got to push and retweet each other, share each other's tweets. It's just so incredible. I've spoken to the president several times today, and if it's just the dollar amount, we're ready to increase the dollar amount. We're ready to increase the direct payments, which is stimulus checks, to both adults and children who have really suffered during this pandemic. This is incredibly great news. Also incredibly great news tonight is, breaking minutes ago, is that the GDP, the gross national product of the United States, is showing massive growth. The GDP is expected to increase by almost 30% in the 3rd quarter. Next week, the U.S. will get the economic news like it has never seen, and it seems almost impossible in the middle of the pandemic, in the middle of the recession, in the middle of 12.5 million unemployed people, says CNBC. This is absolutely shocking numbers. Even though it's totally meaningless, it's going to give Trump a little bit of a lift in the polls, says Steve Blitz, an economist at T.S. Lombard. He's going to see, I told you, we have a V-shaped recovery, and we're zooming. The zoom, of course, is relative. The point is that the Atlanta Fed forecasting a 35% in GDP after we plunged 31.4% in the second quarter. So the Fed, rather than the White House, will focus on strategy. CEOs Q4 are significantly more upbeat than they were earlier this year. Notably, talent shortages eased in the wake of COVID-19. And if any problems were tracking qualified workers, nonetheless, uncertainty about the pandemic, its aftermath, leads a question about Q4. How do you keep this momentum going? All we know is it's going to take another 30% quarter like this, and then it's going to drop down a lot. The potential level for GDP at the moment is capped at the lower level. What's interesting to say, if you can follow that, because it's a little confusing, is that we tanked as a nation because of the pandemic. Then we have shot up. Now, where Larry Kudlow's going to do this, he's going to do that funny thing with the V. It's a V. We're all good. We're all rich and driving Bentleys. No, we're not. But Larry Kudlow is going to play that game. But this will be something Trump will say. And that ultimately, the problem is that it's going to go like that again. Because as soon as you have the second wave and third wave, as soon as you have lockdowns, as soon as you have closures in certain counties in California, they're talking about new counties shutting down again. We're only in October. You're going to have the upside down of the V again, and you're going to sink again. So that's why stimulus is needed now. If you've been with me for a couple days, you understand over the last few days that I've said that the current second stimulus package we're doing now is important to get done so that you have something for what you endured from July, August, and September. This stimulus package right now is not the stimulus package to get you through the next wave of the pandemic. There's not enough money there. There's just not enough money there. This is like the life vest before you sink. Then once you're able to float, then you're getting a life vest to actually start to swim and move in the water. And what's important to understand is hopefully Congress gets that too. Boy, what a night it has been. Let me go over some of your incredible questions from last night, and you can see there's just so much news tonight. It's just jaw-dropping. What's important to understand is that we're not out of the thick of the woods yet. Mama man, these politicians didn't help the American people in the time of need, will be fired come election. Thank you, LA, for your hard work, keeping the people power family informed. Well, thank you. Comfort before style. This could be the week that Americans got relief. Try to stay positive, everyone. I'll cheat as much as I can. God bless and good night, Purple Power. You see why Purple Power works. It's tweets like, it's messages like that for Comfort for Style was the screen name. It's because you have other people say, I just don't believe anything. I think we're all going to die. I think we're just, we're going to be on the side of the road and we're going to die. And Nancy's going to say no. And we're going to wait to 2022 for relief. I mean, sitting around and saying negative things all day long doesn't get you anywhere if you don't do anything but say negative things. And ultimately, America has never prospered or succeeded on sitting around and being negative. Now, you can have opinions of the situation and be pessimistic and be informed, but you should also be focused on moving forward. T-Shawn Hester, we need stimulus now. Amen. Michelle Ronzer, we need stimulus and unemployment boost immediately. Amen. Michelle Brandt, I'm ready for the Trump card. Get that executive order out. And I'm not dropping that executive order. That really needs to be done by when? Needs to be done tomorrow. Jason, this whole government is ridiculously ridiculous. Antonia Perez, my country of thee, it's only of misery. Patricia, good evening, Purple Power family. Michael Moreno, we deserve $2,000 every month. Amen, you do, Michael Moreno. This is America supposed to be helping American people, still trying to help yourself. Jennifer Strickland, I'm voting all of them out. If we're getting evicted, so they are too. I love that, Jennifer Strickland. Danny Johnson, who's always on every video. One thing they can't distract us about is our Purple Power goals. They can't say whatever they want, but that they can say whatever they want, but that won't stop us from fighting for what is right together for our citizens. Amen, Danny Johnson. Love that. Johnny S3. I just want to say thank you, Mr. LA, for trying to keep all the people helping to try to get all the people by during this pandemic. All your time and research is very much appreciated. Thank you. I really appreciate that, John. I really, really appreciate that. You have to understand, in the video before that, for example, with Mark Meadows, when I knew that there was a Mark Meadows interview out there, and I went to read it, and I only had one sentence from the channel that actually interviewed him, I'm like, well, did he only say one sentence? Let me watch the video. And I watched the video, and that's where all this absolutely overwhelming information came from. It's very easy to sit and read a New York Times or LA Times article that doesn't tell you anything, and that is based upon 3-day-old news, and then say, hey, congratulations, and do this and do this and do that. And that's not my focus. My focus is to figure out how much stimulus you can get, how much more stimulus you can get, and how quickly we can get a lot more stimulus. That's Purple Power. Go to the Finance channel, subscribe. 300,000. Let's do it. Let's do it. Also, like this video. Coming up tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and did I say Pacific Standard Time? 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is our new blockbuster, Early Mornings LALATE. If you don't know, it has a live chat instant premiere function. And so it's a lot of fun. A lot of people are enjoying the sort of interactiveness of it, and it has a more upbeat flavor to it. So I really hope you tune in as well. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and save LA for more.